All right, we are live. Hello, my name's Tom from Scarborough, Sasquatch here, and we have today Chris and Daryl from Hastings County Sasquatch. How you doing, my friends?
Good. How are you?
We're doing
Not
great.
bad.
What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Not too much right now. Just researching different things on
What are
Sasquatch.
you, what are you focusing on these days?
Uh, yeah, interdimensional research and
Ooh.
fourth dimension research on for the portals on the
Oh,
portals.
okay. Yeah, I've been
Right.
getting into that lately too. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I seen a portal in use when I was a kid and also as an adult. So,
Where?
in Toronto, downtown Toronto, uh, at a schoolyard down by Dufferin and Bloor area when I was a kid, about 7 years old.
There's a school. Yeah, there's a school to the south of there. There's also that where the pool is. That Christie Pitts or not Christie Pitts. I'm thinking Dufferin.
Yeah. I used to live down the
Road.
street from Christie Pitts there when we were kids.
Yeah, me too. Not when I was a kid, but for a while there.
So what happens with the portal, like when it opens, or you said it was in use?
Yeah, it was like so on Saturdays I was allowed to go further, down the street to play, and I'd go to this the big school, whatever. So I think it was a junior high or a high school. I can't remember. I think it was a junior high, but so I don't know. I entered into the schoolyard and somehow was drawn towards the brick wall at the far end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I followed the brick wall, and I could feel it. It was sort of felt electrified, even though I was only just a kid, right?
Yeah.
And I followed it down the brick wall, old brick style, to the junction where the new brick wall started. So, and right there, I seen a faint circle about 3 feet high in circumference, where there was a portal. Uh, and somehow I knew it was a portal. Like, I don't ask me. Somehow I just knew, and you could see on the brick where it was a slight dark color if you look closely. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you would have missed it. So on the third time I went to back to the schoolyard. All of a sudden, I followed down the bricks, to the middle there where the portal was, and I noticed now the faint color had now gotten a solid color, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a stick, and I wasn't going to stick my hand in there, so I got a stick, and it went into the hole, right?
Okay.
Like somehow it went into the brick wall, right?
Okay.
And I pulled it back
How far?
out.
But how far?
Oh, I'd say I put in about 4 inches or so, right?
Okay.
I was afraid to stick my hand in case something grabbed my hand, right? So then when I pulled it back out, I then, I was there with a friend. He had a little small soccer ball. So I asked if I could play with his ball. I went over and I kicked it against the brick wall. Then the second time I kicked it right at the portal, right? And it went in, but didn't come back out, the ball. Yeah, no word of lie. And after, I'm like, wow. So about 10 minutes went by, and my friend's asking for his ball. I said, I don't know. I kicked it. It went somewhere, I said, right? So we're looking around for the ball, and then I had a small entity come out of the portal. Looked dwarf-like, all right, about 14, 15 inches high. Not too stocky, just sort of like a slim build, but it looked like a real dwarf. With the clothes and the hat, the gray beard, the white beard, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And with my ball in its hand, looking around to see who kicked the ball in there. So, and I said, that's my ball, whatever. And it's a long story, but, he also had another little friend come out with it was a pixie, and I got into whatever. The kid I was playing with, his older brother was a bully. So, I told my friend what I seen, and his older brother wasn't too happy and proceeded to beat me up. So and told me, no, you didn't see this or whatever. So And I asked those little characters to help me, and they said they can't risk being seen. And they took off back into their portal and left me to face the bully.
Great.
So for later in life, it prevented me from sharing my experiences from what happened when I was a kid. So, getting beat up severely there, some big time, So,
what about the ball?
the ball was his. We got the ball back, but
you did?
Yeah, he brought the ball out. That was the amazing part, right? Yeah. And then later on, I was about 19. I was sitting in my local woods down the street where I lived, and I had a same thing. This time it was a tree stump hit by lightning. All of a sudden, I'm sitting on a log next to this tree stump, and all of a sudden I hear the tree come alive inside, like someone's going up a spiral staircase inside the tree, right?
Yeah.
Right up to the top. All of a sudden pop out of a nest hole, big squirrel hole, nest hole. It's another little dwarf type character who proceeded to go up about 3 turns around the tree like a squirrel, except he's wearing boots, little black boots and the clothes, and somehow he's able to stick to that tree as he went like pretty fast around, 3 turns up around the tree and to the top, to his lookout there, looking out over the forest. And I'm sitting there, and he realizes after I can see him. So next thing you know, he panics and boop, same thing, right back down, 3 turns and back into that hole. And same thing, boop, 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 back down the staircase to the bottom of the stump there. I'm going, how far down does that go? But it reached about ground level, then disappeared. The noise cut off, and that was it. That was really strange seeing that character. Same thing, about 14, 15 inches tall. But this guy had more of a thicker build to him, right? So
what kind of clothing were they wearing?
Same thing. It was blue clothing, like a miner sort of, not woodsman type clothes, just miniature size. And this one had a cap on, a blue cap.
Any fur, like furs or something like that?
No furs, like clothing, like cotton, wool, or whatever type of clothing.
Something woven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, woven. So that's, no furs. No, I didn't see any furs anywhere.
So when it ran around the tree, was it like on all fours running around the tree?
No, and it's like you and I, how we walk with our 2 legs. It was just a miniature version of a humanoid, humanoid entity. And yeah, it was wearing boots, like little black cobbler boots or whatever, that style. So it was on a 45-degree angle going around the tree trunk. Okay. Incredible. I seen that with my own. I'm like less than about 6 feet to the tree. I'm sitting in the middle, not even 4 or 5 feet, and then looking up another 4 or 5 feet. And that's how close I was, sitting on a large log and looking to my right. And the amazing part was how it was on a 45-degree angle going around the tree. It only traveled like maybe 3 feet from the nest hole, 3-4 feet to the top of the burnt out tree. There was a little platform. So, but 3 turns, like you've seen how a squirrel goes around the tree going up, right? Yeah. But this thing was actually like standing bipedal, 2 legs, right? Yeah. Built like like a human, right? Arms, legs, head, everything, but just a miniature form. But how it was able to stick to that tree with those boots, little black boots, right? I didn't see anything sharp or anything on his boots to stick into the tree. No wood flew off or anything as it went around the tree. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, that was amazing. And he did the same maneuver going back down on an angle and into the hole. So how does he stick to that tree like that? But he was moving at a quick pace, for a little creature. It was really fast, right? I can't tell you how, not 20 miles an hour or anything like that, but it was about 10 miles an hour. That's how fast he was going around that tree. So that was amazing. So,
wow.
Have you had any strange experiences yourself?
You've had a few. Nothing with little people. We've discussed little people a few times.
Right.
That's a topic we've had with also Peter from Ontario Sasquatch.
Yes.
He's gotten several reports, but I'm not sure if he's posted them or not. I haven't looked for it on his page. But, yeah, Chris and I both have had some interesting occurrences up in Hastings County, where we're both from. We're both in Hamilton now.
Okay.
So we do visit I still have property up north of Belleville in Hastings County, and Chris still has family up that way too. So.
Right. I have a friend, property up by Brighton there. So,
oh yeah.
So I probably will be visiting again this summer.
Well, there's been one dogman sighting there on the road going north out of I'm not sure what's driven up to. I can't remember the name of it, but there's now a McDonald's on the highway there.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
you believe in the dogman, or
I haven't seen one yet, but
yeah, I struggle with it a bit, but I'll definitely absorb the stories because
right.
I can only imagine turning around at home or something like that, and rather than expecting to see a Sasquatch, well, it's a dogman, would throw me for an even bigger loop.
I had a couple encounters leading up to with Sasquatch before I seen my first dogman in '97, and that was over a 3-day period for about an hour or two each day at a small park down near what do you call it? Oakville, Ontario.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I didn't know anything about at the time. I knew Sasquatch was real, but seeing your first dogman running towards you, that was a shock. I didn't know those things. I didn't know those creatures existed at that time. Right.
So how would it have, it's right in Oakville? It just makes you wonder how it would have gotten into the town.
It was down on the beach there, right on the lake shore, on the lake. Right on the beach area. A little park connected to it back then.
Interesting.
Maybe they used the underground sewers or something, the big water outlets.
Or the beachhead there, there are local what do you call that? A couple parks in that provincial park or something near further up by the 401 and that, but there were corridors you could travel back then, but yeah. That's when I also got on the third day there I got hit with the infrasound from the dogman twice. That shook me around big time. Wolf howl, that was intense wolf howl. That hit me like a sustained wolf howl, about 10 seconds or more. Really 10, 15 seconds. And it was really intense. You could feel it felt like almost like someone was blowing a big foghorn. That's how you can hit. I felt the wave of energy hit me right on in that. And it felt like it was like churning my insides. Do you understand?
Did you just get nauseous then?
No, I didn't get nauseous, but I felt like a little bit, but it was more like a shock wave hit me or something, and I was more stunned than it was. It's hard to explain. It's a long story. But it did feel like and it happened twice when with two other people who were coming down the path to enter the park after I left, and it hit all three of us the next wave. So, and then the guy one of the guys who was in front of me, because I was trying to go out and they were trying to come into the park, and he got the worst of it. He was like shooken up big time and really nauseous from it, like you said there. Yes. So yeah, then we all left together. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. What else do you want to talk about?
I like you guys do the Hastings County. So what is Hastings County? What is roughly the perimeter of the borderline for Hastings County?
I guess I should have had that looked up exactly. I think.
No, roughly. From what? From the 401, the Lake Shore, like Lake Ontario.
Yeah, Bay of Quinte. You got the Bay of Quinte all the way over to say
Yeah, the Bay of Quinte. Yeah,
Brighton's past Trenton to the west.
Right.
You go maybe over to Brighton, and then as far east as Deserano, maybe a little further.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
Highway 41 there, going up to from Napanee up to Caladar.
Yeah.
right on up to the edge of Algonquin Park again.
Yeah, even further north in Bancroft, that goes up and it touches Algonquin Park on the northwest side.
Right. I had an encounter in '91 up in Caladar, near Caladar there. Yeah.
Okay, shoot, let's hear it.
Well,
I have to.
that one was an interesting one. That was we used to go fishing up there at one of the lakes. So I was in the while we're fishing, I was hearing I was watching the woodpecker, hitting the tree there with his beak, tapping the tree, and so while we're fishing, after I heard something mimic the sound. I knew it was a mimic, right? Not quite the woodpecker, and so I took note of that, and I kept hearing voices on the island, little island, but I knew there was nobody there. Like there was a cottage, but I kept as from a distance, I seen the outline of the Sasquatch, two or three of them in the bushes there beside the house on a little island, right? And so and then while we're fishing, the swamp or the reeds, whatever, near the cottage, I could hear their voices like talking, right? So yeah, an English type talk, but like not very loud, but I could hear them talking, and couldn't really make out what they were saying, So long story short, somehow then when I got back to the dock there I had my girlfriend said she's seen something, right? She was waiting down by the car, and while we're fishing, she didn't like fishing so too much. So she was sunbathing, whatever. She said she seen whatever. I said, okay, all right. She wanted me to take her for a boat ride, right? And she wanted to show me something. So I got the boat. The other guy stayed back there at the car, and so we're going along, and she pointed whatever to go along the follow the point there, and there it was, standing beside a tree. After we just left, like from the car, about 2 minutes, right there at the point, standing there beside a tree on the point, about just over 6 feet tall, right? Brown colored, with a lighter brown on the face. I kept thinking it was a bear. I turned my head 5-6 times as I'm driving the small boat, wooden boat, and I did the turnaround 5-6 times. It was still there, standing there, right, for about a good minute and a half, 90-second visual I got, while I was standing sideways, sort of, as I'm going past it and turning to go up around the outer side of the island there. So, and it stood there, didn't move too much. Like, I kept thinking it was a bear at first, right? But I said, that's no bear. A bear couldn't stand that long, in one spot like that. And I said, what would a bear be doing? But how when you first see something, you're not really sure, or your mind's trying to tell you, no, it's something else. But I kept saying, no, that's not a bear. And yeah, and then after we got back, my girlfriend, she sat still at the time. She sat still in the boat. I said, that's even strange to her. She's usually, the talkative type.
Yeah.
Right. So, and asked me when we got back, did you see it? I go, yeah, I seen it. Right. Mm-hmm. And then I said, shh, keep quiet. Don't tell no one. So, yeah, that was thing. I'm writing a book, so I'll have the full story in there soon. So,
that's great.
About what took place. So.
I've had a kind of a weird experience up at north of Caladar. We used to go to Marble Lake, just up by past Cloyne there, and I guess it's as simple as we're in a trailer park and borders all the forest, and my brother went back in behind the trailers to relieve himself, and then he came running back out saying he was getting growled at one night.
Really?
So that was kind of funny. But that's the only thing that I could recall up that way. And we were, as kids, we were all over those forests. So
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I've traveled all over Ontario, so I've had a couple different interesting things happen.
Yeah,
So,
my,
pardon me?
so my two experiences were, well, actually three now, I guess. Uh, First two encounters of the first sighting was up in the Temagami area. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but it's
Yeah, I do. I've heard of Temagami.
north of North Bay, and I was on a canoe camping trip, and I was on Lady Evelyn Lake, and I seen one on the corner of my eye. And at first, I thought it was a bear drinking water out of the lake,
Right.
and then it turned around, and it was about 150, maybe 200 yards away, but I thought for sure it was just a bear, and because it walked away on all fours for about 5, 6 steps, and then very fluidly stood up bipedally and walked into the woods, swinging its arms and everything. So at first, when I seen the, I told my brother, "Hey," he was in the bow of the canoe, and I said, "Hey, look, there's a bear." And then I turned around, and walked away like a man on
Right.
on Tuesday. He says, "That's not a bear." And I said, "Yeah, but why is this guy dressed up like a bear? Like he had head to toe, he was like totally blacked out."
you're wearing a T-shirt.
Yeah, I was wearing a T-shirt. This is like Labor Day weekend
Right.
up in Temagami. And this guy's like head to toe, like he's wearing a big heavy winter coat, a balaclava, big snow pants, boots, and everything, gloves,
Right.
you name it. And so
What the hell are you doing?
this guy's trying to get shot or something like that. But anyways, yeah, that was the first one. And then we can skip forward a number of years up in just a few years ago. I was back up in the Temagami area again, and I seen one run. It was a roadside crossing. It was 12 miles outside of Elk Lake, Ontario, and it basically I finally caught a glimpse of it from the edge of the road, and it was running through like a little meandering creek and headed up to like a rock face, like a cliff or something like that, and put its arms out to the side like so.
Right.
And almost like he was on a springboard. He jumped up, and he was up on top of this probably a 25, maybe 30-foot cliff, and then buggered off. And I pulled over right away, and I said, "Hey, shit, I just seen something there," and pulled off the side of the road, and I'm looking for this thing, like, where the hell did it go? It went up on the cliff there, and anyhow, we had logging trucks flying up and down the road here, so I figured, well, it's not a safe spot, and so I got uneasy feeling. So I said, "I'm pissed off. I'm going to hop in the car. We'll go." And I got a little something on the trail camera, or on the dash cam, I should say. I can catch a small little figure up on top of this cliff. Sure enough. But it's a blob squash. It's from a dashboard camera, so
Right.
you can show people, and they said, "Well, I can barely see that." And I'm going, "Well, look, you can see his arms and legs and everything, and yada yada yada." But yeah, it's kind of hard to make out. So that was my two actual visuals, and then when we started investigating this mystery here, that's when we start running into all sorts of other weird things,
Right.
like catching eye shine and catching on forward looking infrared cameras,
Right.
on our night vision.
Do you use a FLIR camera or
Yeah, I use a FLIR.
FLIR?
It's a FLIR TK Scout.
Right on.
Yeah, it takes photographs and also video clips. So
Oh, that's good. How long you been using that for? 2 years? A year?
I guess it's going on about a year and a half now. So
Right on. How was the learning curve on using that?
that was pretty easy. As point and shoot. You can't really focus it. You can't really. There's no zoom lens. It's just point and shoot. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
You might be limited to about maybe 100 yards or something like that. Maybe
100 yards.
a
That's
little
good.
bit further. Yeah.
That's a good distance. Yes.
Yeah. so we did manage to catch one, and we were just recording our latest podcast now, and we have that footage that we're releasing there probably the next couple days.
Right on. I've checked out some of your night footage. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to shoot it too. At least he
you had
was.
some. Did you have any were you a bit scared or like nervous or?
For me, well, what happened that night was we had spent pretty much the most of the day we're talking about the Madoc location at the homesteader friends of ours.
Right. Okay.
And they had reported that down and behind their garden and then behind some trees, there was a mash down area where they think they're either bedding down, or at least that's an observation point for the house. And it is a very good observation point for the house. It's right next to the garden. All of their garden has been plucked out. Their tomatoes, the corn was stepped down because it was stepping over the fence by the corn. There was mint in there. They didn't take any of that, of course, but
they favored a certain vegetable or fruit or anything.
The tomatoes,
right on.
They put raised flower beds in this year. She's only reported that she got a limb break when she was out watering them one day.
No prints or anything? No?
It's all grass. It's
pretty much grass. So yeah,
you have to be early in the morning with the maybe some dew forming that thing, but that doesn't last long. Yeah.
Well, we were up there. I had taken a nap around 7:38, and then 9 o'clock. Chris came out and scared the shit out of me by knocking on the door of the car, and I, of course, woke up screaming, ready for a fight, and then Chris went out to the trailer that's nearby that they have on their property for gas and stuff, and he was having a nap, and I went out to check on him and have a smoke, and then I used the camera and I noticed the eye shine down in those trees behind the garden.
Right.
And did I get scared? Yeah, I was trembling. You can see the camera trembling. I was trying to steady it. I was having fear, and I had vocalized saying, "Hey, Chris, you waking up? Come on out." And then he didn't hear me, of course. And then after a bit, I went back into the house because I went down to the trailer, looked in the window, and he was still sleeping. And then I went back into the house with the landowner. There's two landowners, a couple, and the lady was still up, and the gentleman had gone to bed by that point. And so we chatted for a bit. And I went out I said, I'm scared. I said, I'm afraid to go to the car. I wanted to get a beer out of the car because we were just sitting there chatting. And she drives a large rig and as part of her jobs. And on the other side I was in the car, and she came out with me, so I didn't want to go by myself. And I, from that window, actually, incidentally, right next to the car, I could see the trailer, so I was keeping an eye on everything. And so we went out to the car, and I was grabbing a drink, and she goes, "Daryl." What? She goes, "It's right here beside the rig." So I pulled my head out, and then we heard it stepping off the gravel, stomp into the trees, and then eventually fade away. Didn't see anything. And then we went back in the house going, holy crap. And then I started to text Chris, and that's what you see, this little screenshot in one of our videos. Okay. Dude, we got to talk. We got to talk right now. You're missing some action. And then he got up, and then it went on from there that night. And it was, the story's on the page.
Yeah. So we basically went out to the road, and we fired up the night vision cameras, just looking around and not hitting a record. We should have hit record right away, but anyways, I was catching.
How long can you film with the night vision? Like, is there a time limit on?
Well, as long
as hour footage, or
as long as you don't run out of storage space on your disk. So I guess you can get a 128 gig card you can run.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
we had 32 and we filled it.
Yeah, we'll fill it pretty quick. So we weren't hitting record too quickly. So.
Okay.
We're saving it for something concrete.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking down the road. On the edge of the road, I noticed something like emanating out of the ground along the fence line, which was it was almost like strobe lights. Remember, like strobe lights from
yes.
Let's say from the 80s and 90s. The little strobe light that had the little dial on the end.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know those. Yes.
Well, it looked like somebody had a strobe light buried in the ground with the lens up and was firing this strobe light off, and it was lighting up all the vegetation along the hedgerow there. I'm going,
Really?
what the
Was it
hell
was
is
it
that?
rapid or a slow? Was it fast or a slow strobe?
It was rapid, really
Rapid.
rapid.
Okay.
And they go, what the hell is that? And then Daryl looks over and like flip. We're facing back to back on this road, like so. And he turns around and it was gone.
I didn't see anything.
Right.
And then, a couple minutes later, it starts up again. I'm going, there it is again. And then it quits. It's like really, really rapid. Just for a few seconds or something, it would start lighting up everything. So, anyways, then we start hearing growling and stomping out in the woods nearby, or not by the woods, but out in the field by the edge of the road where the strobe lights were going off. We literally hear stomping in the ground and something growling at us from the field there.
Right.
Pitch black. We're trying to scan everything, but we have some vegetation in our foreground that was sort of in our way, so we couldn't shoot beyond that vegetation to see what the heck was growling at us.
And to give you an idea that we're not just so quick to think everything's Sasquatch that's happening around us. We did actually Chris and I we differed on another issue. It was the growling. We were standing out on the road, and the road ends there. It goes a little further down, but you don't drive on that unless you got like
ATV.
an ATV or a big solid truck. And it goes down under the power lines, and it's a washed out bridge. It's an unassumed road anyway. So we thought we heard growling from the rock fence opposite the house across the road. We moved down beside the house because of it, and we were standing almost between the trailer and the house, and we're almost where I was filming the eye shine, and I kept hearing the growling, or what I thought was the growling, and I kept turning around by the house, and I could hear it there, and I looked down into the little basement entrance, couldn't see anything, and then I ended up keep hearing it, and I went to the window, and I heard the dog snoring underneath the window. There's a fireplace there, and the dog was sleeping.
Okay.
So I thought it was that, but incidentally, we also heard growling from 3 different directions.
Yeah.
So and that was just like, okay, well, that can't be the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So how would the sound from the dog's coming from that window, and there it is over there, and then now over there, and then Chris even caught some red eye shine.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. We tried doing everything. We set up a tent too on the power line right away.
Oh yeah.
Like a blind sort of.
Well, no, just a little pup tent, basically.
Right. Okay.
It had a rain fly and everything. And we had a chair inside of it, and that's where I had one of my digital recorders sitting on there, so it'll keep dry and maybe record everything. And inside, I had a light that was on, and I had a small little fan, like one of those little portable battery operated fans, and a little piece of paper hanging off a string, and we had this fan blowing this paper around, so it gives you a perception of something's moving in the tent, like somebody's inside that tent.
Okay, yes.
And we had the recorder on, and well, that's where I seen the eye shine from standing behind the tent, like above the tent, a couple of feet above the tent. And of course, the next day when we went to go and collect the recorder, see what we recorded, the batteries are dead on it, drained, fresh batteries and everything. And we got a couple of hours of audio. We heard like rumble of storm clouds, like thunder, and that was earlier in the evening before the sun even went down. Right. And then the batteries went dead shortly after that. So
we got about 2 hours.
Those batteries, and I had it in the MP3 or record mode. I should have had about 42 hours or something like that of record time.
Right.
And the damn batteries are drained.
That happened to me on my cell phone, where it went from 85% down to 15% when I spotted some dogman tracks and started following them to a clump of trees, and then I lost some footage. I turned it back on again, and it drained. I lost footage, everything. I was in that. Then 2 years last summer, the same area I filmed,
Mhm.
right, where I caught something, sort of cloaked or whatever it was at the tree. The government took the trees down. That whole clump of trees, they removed it because I had it posted on my channel and stuff. So
Really?
yeah, so I was sort of surprised. I knew that something was going to happen, but they really did. They removed that whole clump of trees that I had shown. So yeah, that was interesting to know.
Hmm.
Wow.
So you got to be careful sometimes when we do research and investigate sometimes places, but there's others watching,
Yeah.
too, right? So I don't want to see any harm come to these creatures
Yeah.
because
Neither do we. I think I'm not on. I don't want to kill. I'm not. There was a time when I thought, well, do you have to kill one and bring it in? And if you can manage to get it to somebody
right,
and then actually expose it
yeah,
without anybody stepping in and warning you off.
that's true.
But yeah, I actually wonder the same thing with the Facebook page. Actually, right now, I put up a post the other day. Normally, by this point, it'd have a lot of likes, but I've only got one. So, but it's funny though. Yeah, I started that page in 2017.
Right.
And I was vacationing up at my family's property in north of Belleville, Ontario, and I've had some experiences there that. I, just sitting there again, just thought, why don't I just start a page? Why don't I just do that and see if anybody else wants to share any stories in the area? And then eventually, a few years later, Chris contacted me and said, "Hey, I've had some experiences, and it's gone since there. Chris and I have been hanging out and working together on this project." So
That's great. I've heard a few of your podcasts or interviews on different sources. They're always interesting.
thank you.
Right.
Oh, thanks.
It's fun to do that. Yeah, it's neat. We've got quite a crew now of different groups. Upper Canada Sasquatch. I was watching his page, and now he's contacted Ontario Sasquatch, I guess, who was actually we did a joint expedition with them up to the Madoc location. Yeah. They came up another weekend with us, and we only got a woohoo off in the woods on one of our recordings. That's
Well, yeah, that was the day before you showed up. I actually heard, I don't know if you heard the Sierra Sounds from Ron Moorhead.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, well, I heard the exact same thing right from from the Madoc site. I heard two of them out in the far wood line in that field where we were getting those strobe lights and everything effect there. It was almost like sound like two foreign people like talking some sort of different language going back and forth with one another. And I went over to Peter's trailer and I said, "Hey, I'm getting the what sounds like the Sierra sounds out there, the samurai chatter." And then Peter's wife there, she took a walk down there too, down one of the paths, and she came back 2 minutes later or 15 minutes later and says, "Unmistakable, I heard the samurai chatter as well." And I said, let me try and guess what direction. I pointed and she says, "Yep, exactly." So
that's great.
She heard it, I heard it, but of course I didn't have a recorder on for that matter. And I don't even know if the recorder would have picked it up because it was in a bit of a distance away.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I heard some intense. Yeah, I've never heard the samurai chatter myself, but I've heard some intense yells that were both from a human and then the entity who I say was a Sasquatch. It was incredible how loud. I was like camping at Balsam Lake, and this happened was 2 nights in a row around midnight. So it would. I think somebody was antagonizing the creature. So a drunken fellow was antagonizing this creature. About half a mile away, at least from where we were camped, coming in off the lake there. And Wow. And I felt that after I got mad or something, it yelled so loud. I felt it coursing through my body, the vibrations,
Yeah.
it was incredible. I said, that's not human, whatever it is.
Yeah.
and and another time up at Perry Sound at a friend's cottage, I was out standing over by the lookout point. I could hear him uh, calling out Yahoo, Yahoo, really loud, uh, but not human though. You could tell. I've heard that on shows or doing that the Yahoo voice. I've heard that once or twice on the internet. So that
Yeah,
was
up by Perry Sound. You were saying? Sorry, I had to cut you off.
that was up by Perry Sound, near Perry Sound.
Yeah, I've done a lot of vacationing up there, camping and stuff. I kind of got reintroduced to the Sasquatch topic in 2004. I was always a UFO guy. Always listened to that stuff and followed that whenever I could.
Oh, right on.
I was really a huge fan of the Sightings TV show that was on a while back. Anyway, I'm digressing. I got up to Rue Bottom Lake in the summer of '04 on a Sunday night with a friend, and her family owns a cottage on that lake. There's no power lines to it. You drive through a farmer's property to get access to it. There's only 6 cottages there at the time. I think there's more now. I looked at it on Google Maps, but we were the second cottage from the end. And without going into too much detail, we could hear something walking. There was only 4 of us on the lake and in that one cottage. And we only had tiki torches going. We didn't have any flashlights. We were completely unprepared for anything like that. We weren't even expecting Sasquatch or anything. I had actually just seen a documentary, and we were talking about it on the way up there, but we heard something walking around between us and the road in the tree line. And me and the other guy started, "Oh, did you hear that?" "Yeah, I heard it." And we started talking again. And as we started talking, "Do you hear it moving?" "Oh, yes." We're saying it out loud. Well, clearly it doesn't understand English because we can hear it walking and stepping very quietly. And it kept going as if we were talking like that. So later on in the night, in the direction it had gone or whatever, they were making drinks in the cottage. About 1:30 in the morning, I was out stoking the fire a bit to stir it up. Note the torches had gone out. And I got whistled at from the woods.
Oh, wow.
It was, and I just was like, "Oh my God, I am drunk." So, but I was like, I've had a few drinks in my time. I don't hallucinate, but I whistled. Well, I actually smooched back. I didn't whistle back. I usually tell the story to make it easier just to say I whistled back.
Right.
But I went something like that. And I
Right
shook my head like, what the hell? And then it whistled again.
You think it was a female Sasquatch was doing that or what?
I have no idea, but I went around and between the fire, I put the fire between me and it, sat down on a stump and blocked out the fire from my eyes to see if I could see anything. And there's only a bunch of wood sitting there in a little shed for like sports stuff, like kayaks and stuff. And as the young lady that owned the place, or her parents owned the place, she came out and bang, something hit that shed. She stopped dead and she goes, "What was that?" And I said, "I don't know." She goes, "We'll go see." And I'm like, "No way am I going in there. Do you have a flashlight?" She says, "No." And I said, "Well, no, I'm not going in there." Like, F you. I'm not going. But that's that. I got back into it at that point, started to follow it and research more and whenever I could read online. And I totally recalled an incident when I was 5 years old in Bolter, Ontario. And long story short, being picked up on one of the remote roads, me and another kid had gone down. His dad came down to pick us up, and on the way back up the road, this hairy thing walked right across the road in front of us, about 20 foot in front of the car.
Wow.
And it looked at us, showed its teeth twice, and stepped into the woods, and then...
Really? It showed its teeth at you?
Yeah,
Wow.
like as if it's like that sort of thing. Like, yeah, you got me. You saw me, or maybe that's just a thought. But yeah, and then it didn't seem to be about the height of the truck, 6 foot, or it didn't seem to be like all the like.
So it's like a young adult or a large juvenile.
Yeah, it didn't seem fat. It seemed slim.
Right.
And that I remember who I was with. That kid, we talk every once in a while on Facebook. We grew up together. We grew up down the road from each other, and he was a roommate of mine in university at one point, and he still lives in the area, and I've been trying to get him to come by because he's a cop, and I told him I wanted to ask him about some of the stranger calls he's been out on, stuff like that, just to see if he'll branch into it, but to see if he's gotten anything out, because he's up by Madoc area.
Right on.
So this thing walked in front of us, and that's that. I don't. The guy that was driving my dad's best friend, he just passed away recently, so I can't talk to him about it. He saw a UFO that he wouldn't talk to me about back in the 90s. So that type of things, I can't talk to him about that anyway. But as for that, some eye shine on my own property one night after getting growled at.
That's cool.
Used a spotlight after I got growled at, and then I saw the eye shine on the next field back. There's a hill there, and up on the hill there was eye shine. So I went back and forth, and I kept watching the eyes follow the light.
When you seen the eye shine, did it have a certain color, or did the color change at any time?
Chris asked me that. It wasn't red. It was yellowish white.
Yes. Okay.
It didn't seem to have like a red color. It didn't seem like anything like that. But
one time I can recall seeing the eye shine. It was like you said, it was white, but it also looked like sort of pixelated a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like if like sort of like like lines sort of it square, vertical and horizontal lines in the eye shine. I don't know if that was maybe like the street light hitting it from a distance a certain way or not. I don't know. This is while we're camping out west. So there was a parking lot further like across the river where you could, have a picnic and that too. So I don't know if that affected it or not, but yeah, it was solid color, but then it started pixelating when I seen it again. So
that's weird.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. That was the first time I ever seen that like that. So, and I think I seen one other time, like you described, whitish and yellowish a bit. Right.
Yeah.
But
that's just
I want to say one thing before when you explain the light there, the strobe light effect. I have seen. I know a guy from Minnesota. He's called Minnesota Bigfoot on YouTube. And he has shown footage of that same thing, that white strobe light effect in his on a little section there in the tree there, against the tree or whatever. I'll get a link to that video and pass it on to you, okay? And see if you notice if it's the same sort of thing, because it was a really white, intense light, right?
Yeah.
When this happened, and it was had that strobe effect, but his was more slow. His was more of a slow strobe, whereas you said yours was rapid. All right, I'll get you a link and pass it on to you.
Yeah, sure.
Sometime there soon, okay?
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's what it reminded me when you were telling me that. Yes.
I follow that guy's channel too. So.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, it just scratches the surface of some of the stuff we've been talking about and we've gone over. So. Yeah.
Right on.
It's nice to hear some of your takes on stuff. We're always open to that. So I mean, I did stumble across your page. What is your page again? Let's just say it.
Mine is Sasquatch Friends Ontario in Facebook, and Scarborough Sasquatch Station here on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's where I saw the YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the other page.
Yeah.
I've gone through a few of your videos. I'm always looking.
Right on. I usually mostly analyze footage and stuff like that. And also starting now to go out and film some investigations and stuff like that where I've had previous sightings and stuff, like up in Lindsay, Ontario. I remember putting my name out there, telling people, after the sighting in 91 at Calidar, that I started telling people, I've had a few sightings with Sasquatch, and a friend of mine told me his family had a sighting up in Lindsay there. So. Okay. It took me about a year to finally get out there. I felt guilty. I finally got out there that was directly after hearing that intense screaming there, yells and that from up at a Balsam Lake there. I drove right to meet him at Lindsay. I was thinking about it and said I better contact him. And so we went out there. He took me, him and a couple of his family members, brother and cousin. when took us to the site there, uh, somewhere in Lindsay, Ontario. There, it was weird. That was my first investigation, and I believed them. And while I was there, they showed me, the hedge there, the shrubbery where it took place. I could sense. I seen someone peeking at me, one of the Sasquatch. That was a surprise. They're still there in that area. But every time I had an encounter, it was always like a friendly sort of feeling, like I didn't feel threatened at any time. And this time, I was feeling rejection, like they didn't want me there. They didn't want to be disturbed. They didn't want me being there investigating with these for these people, they're the friends, my friend there and his family. But I could sense there was like three of them there in the shrubbery bushes, staying hidden. But I seen the one peeking at me. I took a couple pictures, just a regular camera. I don't know whatever happened to the photos and stuff. That was in the mid-90s. But I've always wanted to go back there and check it out again. And one other time, I was driving up at night, and I had a UFO encounter, a bright light. Affect 5 or 6 of us. I was in a row of cars, right, three on each side, traveling on where the highway there is split. A northbound lane, then there's a big field, and then the southbound lane is further over. Okay, yeah. And so we had a huge. I was thinking it might have been the planet Venus, but it was following us as we're turning the light. It shone right into our cars, right? And so I'm trying to speed up as fast as I can to get past. I was last in the line of the 5-6 cars on the inside track. I'm beeping the guy in front of me to keep going faster, right? We're going. And I looked over to the car beside us as the light hit inside of our car, a bright golden light, right? I could see the family on my outer side, about 4 or 5 of them inside the car, all with panic-stricken faces, right?
Wow.
I think we might have had, afterwards, I signaled the guy. Only the one guy stopped. The guy in front of me pulled over. Right, we exchanged names or something in case it made the news or something. And he agreed that it might have been time missing or something, but we couldn't really tell. But something happened. He agreed, and the car that I said had the panic-stricken faces. Well, they kept going. They were doing about 90 miles an hour into the off-ramp there, right? And there was a stoplight further up ahead. They went right through the stoplight. They almost rolled the car and killed the whole family. And they just split, man. Fucking vamoosed right out of there. So that was a mysterious golden light, that happened to us on the highway. Yeah, Lindsay, it's an interesting place.
Yeah. I've been up to Fenland Falls a few times. Yeah, I've also heard other reports up that way. They're there online. I forget what page I read it on back when I first started. Of course, I was looking for Ontario stuff, and I did read one in Lindsay. Somebody had, I think they were showing a piece of property or something, or walking their dog, and it took off towards this hairy thing, and then stopped and came running back as this thing retreated. Something like that.
That's interesting.
That's that area has got a few sightings. And...
I've had a couple sightings in 2 in Alberta and 1 in British Columbia. 1 up in Whistler. I was being followed on a trail by a large black Sasquatch.
Almost. You saw it visually, or you saw
it? I did. I had, I knew something was following me. You do that.
Yeah.
Stop, and it would stop and then go. And it was under a canopy of trees. The trail had a canopy of trees. So, but there was this one little section that there was a break and there was light and you could see, so I counted, and stopped and did a quick turnaround and caught it in the opening and seen it. And then, so I then sped up my little walk a bit faster. So I hit the clearing and ran to the nearest building, but it never broke the clearing. It never got into the clearing. It stayed back on the trail in the trees. And then years later, that was in 2005 or 6 in the wintertime. But years later, I heard there was a missing 411 case right there, the exact same spot. So
Okay.
Yeah, some girl went missing right off that same trail.
Hmm.
So, and there was
Nobody
like,
knows what's going on there.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's, if that has, Sasquatch has really something to do with that or not. I'm not sure. Most of my encounters have been positive, so I've never felt threatened. I never had any rocks thrown at me or anything like that. You know, even growling or whatever. Only from the dogman I've had the growling. So other people, have different encounters. I've never had a real. Even when I had the one in Alberta that was angry at me for I guess eating some of those Saskatoon berries from its marked area, their marked tree and area, and that. But still, it didn't physically hurt me. It didn't physically hurt me or anything. It shook my tent there. The tree and the tent was attached to next to it. Shook it twice at night, but then it just wandered. It went off. I prayed. I started praying. You know, I knew it was there. This was when I had seen it earlier with the eye
Out
shot.
loud?
Pardon me?
Did you pray out loud?
Yeah, I did to whatever. I was laying there in the tent. My friends passed out cold, and I tried to wake him, and then he wasn't waking. So I started praying really hard, and boom, next thing you know, I heard it walk off 2, 3 steps, and then I passed out and woke up. It was morning, and still alive. So my higher power must have, dipped down and and helped out. So I was really lucky there. But yeah, I was really scared, man, because boy, I tell you, I had my buck knife in my hand. I tied it with a string. I didn't, I didn't know what to do. I said poke it or something, maybe in the nose or face, but I still didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, of course not.
Right? It could have just smothered all of us inside that tent.
Yeah.
But it was more. It wasn't mad at my friend or whatever. It was mad at both of us. So we had, my friend broke off the dead tree there with the marking. It had a marking like half a heart symbol with some lines slashed through it. I guess that was his territory marker. It could have been. And my friend broke that off and threw it in the fireplace. So I told him we shouldn't have done that. And I said, that was an important mark. I said we shouldn't have done that. And then after that we started having the problems. After that, he broke that tree stump. The tree stump. Yeah, it was a dead tree stump inside the Saskatoon trees. There, the little section there, little clump of trees marking the territory right in the front there. So that's when we started having a lot of problems with that one Sasquatch. It was mad at us.
Yeah.
And these berries, they would coat your hands purple, your mouth, your tongue, visibly purple. So they could, we knew we were guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Anything else important?
Well, I guess next for us, I just posted a new one on Facebook. There is a vocalization just north of Millbridge, Hastings County, Ontario.
Right on.
There's one to check out. We did a podcast just now before we got on with you, and that's going to be coming up sometime this week, probably.
Cool.
And
Mm.
we included the vocalization at the end of that video as well. So
Yeah, and I'll tell you when that one there in Alberta, there just north of Calgary, on the Bow River system. Well, the first time we used to go there maybe once or twice a week. There's one spot to hang out, camp, maybe overnight sometimes in the summer. It was the first time my friend would let me the final leg of the journey there, let me travel, lead. We're on our mountain bikes, so let me lead, and it's strange when first time he let me lead. I guess this is after. So what happened was I'm going toward riding on the bike trail, and a rock comes flying out of the bushes or out of the beside the the ridge there, small ridge there, and and a couple shrubs, whatever, at the bottom of the ridge, just about 10 feet off of the bike path, roughly, and it rolls right out, handball size, let's say tennis ball size rock, right? It rolls out and lands on the bike path and rolls to a dead stop on the white line separating the two lanes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, as I'm getting closer, a second rock comes out and lands. Same thing. Lands and rolls and comes to a dead stop again, right on the white line, 3 inches apart from the first rock. Okay. So I stop. I seen this, and I look over and I seen some kind of pixelation going up the side of the ridge, right to the top. Okay. And I get I stop the bike and pick up the rocks, right, and holding them in my hand, right. And my friend goes, "What's going on?" I go, "I don't know. Maybe we're having an earthquake or tremors or something. These rocks rolled out." I said, right, right. And I didn't tell them they got thrown out. I just told them they got rolled out.
Yeah.
Well, I received then. I said, look around. Do you see any other rocks or anything? And he said, so we're wandering around looking. All of a sudden, I get a message from the top of the ridge, I get a telepathic message to send my friend away, right?
Yeah.
The Sasquatch wants to talk to me. I said, okay. I said, all right, I will. And so I did. I sent him about 100 feet down, so to go look for any other disturbances off the path, right? And he did. He actually went. And so then when he did that, I went and stood out in front of the ridge, and then boom, out walked the 7-foot Sasquatch there, reddish brown color on top of the ridge, looking down at me. Well, I'm telling you, man, I got scared. I didn't run, but I turned and walked fast, a couple, about 5-6 steps, and then I stopped. All right. And I said, whoa, stop. I said, it's not every day you get to see a Sasquatch. So I turned around and walked back, and it was still standing there waiting for me in that. And basically, it didn't say anything else again to me, but we just stood there and had a stare off contest. And I put my hands out, like, showing them the rocks. I don't have any weapons, just the rocks in my hand. You know what I mean? I put my hands stretched out, right, with my palms open, showing him I don't have anything. And he mimicked me and did the same thing, standing there top of the ridge.
Wow.
With the same thing, mimicked me. And then I had a staring eye contest with it for about a minute, and it won. I blinked. So that was about it. And then whatever. And, I used to work out. I was 6 foot, 250 pounds. Muscle back then, but this guy, he had like the V for your upper chest and down to your waist. Yeah. His was 3 times the size of mine. He was built, man. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Just like how I was, he was 3 times the size of me, man. Wow. Massive, and with long hair flowing off the arms, reddish brown hair, about a good foot long, at least, hanging off the arms, almost like you see like orangutans, how they have that hair hanging off their arms. Yeah. This one had the same sort of thing. He was full face, full hair on the face, and the neck was no neck. When I was looking at him straightforward, no neck, right? But when he turned sideways, he had a massive jaw and neck, and neck. You couldn't notice till you seen the side glance, right? Yeah. When you looked at him straight on, he had sort of like a roundish sort of head onto his shoulders. But when he turned, it looked like almost like a caveman, Neanderthal style, but a huge, like massive jaw. I'm telling you, it was incredible how big his jawline was. Well, and then too, when with the sun was glistening onto his back, right? It was the midday 2 o'clock sun. Late August. So you could see on the hair, the long hairs hanging down off the arms and stuff, right? Little glob, each hair was had a little globule of oil on it. All right. All the strands were neat. There wasn't one knot in his hair. It was all very neat, hanging there. and it was all like well lubricated, like little globules of oil were visible in the midday sun hanging off his on the hairs. So
Wow.
and this guy was well groomed, not a single knot. He had like thick long hair, but very neat. Not one. I scoured him everywhere, and I couldn't find one knot in that hair. It was well groomed.
Wow.
Like how you see her stories sometimes, how messy they are. No, not this guy. This guy was immaculate. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Bigfoot salon.
I had long hair there at the time, and so he put me to shame.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's an interesting
Well,
story.
that's just something to recall. I physically seen that, about 50 feet away. So incredible. Yeah, that's always been embedded into my memory is how clean and those little globules of oil. So when you hear sometimes how they leave that smear, that greasy smear on a window or something, their fingerprints,
Yeah.
a handprint. You've heard of that
Of course.
on car windows or house windows and stuff. Yeah. Well, that may explain where the grease is coming off their hair and stuff. So
Yeah. May account for the smell.
the smell? No, I haven't really figured out. I've seen it, not seen them. I've smelt the smell a few times. It's like a sour skunk smell to me, right? And other times there's been no smell at all. So,
Yeah.
right. And that one time when we were kids, the family used to go fishing over at Lower Buckhorn Lake, Stony Lake,
Oh yeah.
that area there. And we had a favorite place at Burley Falls, Stony Lake.
Oh yeah. We know this.
Right? Yeah. So we used to go fishing there, the family, and driving. And we always, the one section of road when we getting near there, always smelled like Sasquatches. We'd always, the kids would make fun. Oh, here comes that smell section again, and that. So then we'd go in there. So one time, so then as I progressed, I'm an adult now, 18, I think I was at the time. My dad wanted to go fishing there, and the rest of the family didn't want to go. My brother didn't want to go at the time. He had to work or something. So I went with my dad, and that we're driving there, and we're coming up to that infamous smell stretch of roadway, right? Well,
Yeah.
surprise! This time I said, "Dad, slow down. I think there's a bear there up ahead. There's something up there, right? It wants to cross the road or something, right?" And so as we got really close, my dad slowed right down. Then I seen it jump, from my side of the road as a passenger. It walked out, bipedally and crossed the road right in front of us, about, 30 feet, 50 feet away as my dad slowed right down, right?
There you go.
About 50 feet away, not 30. And then we got closer and then boom. I seen it. It was standing between the tree line there, the trees there, right?
Yeah.
And I said, Bigfoot. I said to my dad, right? I said, my dad goes, bear. I said, no, Bigfoot. He goes, Bigfoot? He goes, yeah, it was walking on two legs. He goes, no, maybe. He looked all surprised, kind of happy that he might have seen Bigfoot. And then after he's going, I don't know, he's saying, right? But I go, Dad, it walked across the road, and it was a juvenile Bigfoot.
Wow.
So, how did it know we're going to be? Sometimes I think some of these encounters are pre-planned. They know you're going to be there that day somehow.
Yeah.
Right? For
Yeah.
it to happen. I think that happened with about 3 or 4 of mine, that somehow they know you're going to be there that day. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
That's been well reported. Yeah, you're marked in a way.
Yes.
Channels will put it. I mean, even when I've visited, Chris actually was with me one time up at the property north of Belleville one summer, probably going up to Madoc, and I announced in my head, "Hey, I'm here. Did you want to come say hello?" And then as we were sitting on the deck of the house at the back, I heard far away, like a vocalization.
Right.
And a little, and I didn't tell him at the time, because where he was sitting, he wouldn't have heard it. It was just a little bit of a jut. Anyway, he was in a nook of the brick wall. And then I actually heard a single rock clack a little closer, probably about 20 minutes later. So it's strange. Yeah, it's funny how they know you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe you get marked for life by these things somehow,
Yeah.
right? Are they, they want to trust certain humans, I guess, and if they have a good report with you, then, they want to see you again. There's
Yeah.
always some kind of message, I think, that we carry forward when we do the research and investigations and all that stuff,
Yeah.
on their behalf somehow, I believe
Mhm.
that, positive messages, I guess, sometimes,
Yeah.
right? You know, I don't know. Some people see them and are terrified for life. I've never had that feeling. You know, first time I seen the Sasquatch was on TV on infamous, the famous Patty Patterson Gimlin film
Yeah.
on I think it was about 1972 on the Mike Douglas show, and right away I knew that was real. I had
Yeah.
as a kid I didn't have no reason to later on there's negative publicity about what's real and what's not. That wasn't part of the equation back then as a kid,
Yeah.
right? So that carried over. And then, that was my first introduction. And then after about uh, 12 years old, I was supposed to go camping up to Bon Echo Provincial Park with my friends. I couldn't go for a family reason. Something was going on. So my friend David, my next door neighbor and also classmate, had the Sasquatch encounter there at Bon Echo Park. So,
Okay.
and then his friend Michael, the older brother, said verified it, found him in a state of shock, whatever, in the wood on a trail. They had separated to check something out, and that's when it happened. Just
Wow.
a minute apart, and yeah, but he didn't see anything. The older brother, but verified that he was found him in in a state of shock, mumbling to himself after. So about Sasquatch. So somehow that was to keep my interest going. Later on next year, a friend of mine, Gary, or another neighbor close by and schoolmate, uh, they had the infamous, sour skunk smell at their hunting site up in Timmins, somewhere near Timmins, and it had gotten into their food that was tied up in the tree there, like on the rope there, something untied the tree, the knot, and lowered the bag of food. So,
Huh.
and their whole camp stunk like Sasquatch and had rummaged around their camp while they're out hunting. So that was again. So that was when I was about 13. That's I'm not. It was always the summertime. I never had wintertime type of any Sasquatch things. It was always in the summertime for some strange reason.
Mm.
Something was going on. We go camping and we're out in the woods and traveling, fishing, stuff like that. So then finally 14, I'm in Scouts and up by Orangeville at a camp at our Jamboree camp there. I had a strange thing there where I seen some stacked rocks, right?
Yeah.
Triple stacked rocks, and spotted another one around the corner where I was with two friends from Scouts. They were, I told them, go check around the river if there's any more. And I seen one around the corner. I went there and I seen between the trees a large Sasquatch. Whether he was interdimensional or real, I'm not sure. But he, you know, he asked me, telepathically, "Are you going to tell your friends?" I said, "No." Right?
No.
And they're going, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "Nobody." They couldn't see me because the ridge came down at a certain point. I was covered, as I walked around it.
Yeah.
So they couldn't quite see me. They could only see my upper body, right? Or whatever, or something, or whatever. And I was blocking the view. And then after when I turned my head and when I looked back, it was gone. So when I turned to, talk to those guys, so
Yeah.
the other scouts there, but that I was wondering, was it real? But the day before that, I had a bronchial asthma attack there in the tent there where they had pitched a tent atop some noxious weed I was allergic to. So they had to
Oh,
give me the
Lord.
oxygen mask and all that. And
Oh,
so
great.
I couldn't go out to do whatever the orientation or, map plotting, all that compass work. So I had to sit in the chair there while they went out, and at the camp, and then that's when I'm sitting there and sort of meditate, daydreaming, whatever, and then boom, I had something appear right in front of me, like just off my knee high level, like right in front of me, a Sasquatch, an image of a Sasquatch. This was the day before I seen that one in the woods there at the camp.
Yeah.
So, like an image of a I said, like, is this an image like right in front of me, like, 2 feet in front of me, 6, 8 feet tall, whatever, in front, not that tall, but a miniature version, but an adult version, but miniaturized a bit, like, so it's only about 6 feet tall in front of me, but at knee high level, and that image was there for about 30 seconds, and I'm like, it didn't say, all of a sudden, boom, it just vanished, right? And I said, what was that all about,
Yeah.
Then the next day, I seen the Sasquatch there between the trees, quickly,
Yeah.
for about 20 seconds, and then boom, and and it did ask, "Are you going to tell your friends?" I said no, and it said, "Oh, good,"
It said
So I
good.
guess they're building up a trust, a rapport with me, or something,
Okay. Okay.
right? For my future encounters and stuff. So, and that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. You've seen it more than I have.
Yeah, but not all. Like, I've gone years apart from seeing them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In that, it's not like every year back then. No, it was like multiple years apart where I had my thing, because I guess I was doing other things and that. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't focused on that, and that, I knew they were out there and that, and had contact here and there, but I was also, like, I don't know, doing other things. Like, you're young, so you're not. As I got older, I started concentrating more on it and realized what was happening. But not in my 20s or before that. I wasn't, like, really focused in on them.
Yeah.
So, like, so that plays a part too, I think.
Yeah.
And too, being from the city and traveling out there, it was a different scene. I could understand too if you live out in the country or in a cottage area, or continuously attending your own cottages, or living in the country, you could be more open to contact if you're willing and able. Do you understand?
Yeah. Of course.
Right.
If you're open to it, yeah, they'll
Yeah.
come in. And
There's a lot of interference too in the city with other noise and distractions and all that to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
frequencies all around you. It's
That's true. Yeah,
microwaves going through the area.
that's right. Microwave, radio, all that interferes. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You've had some pretty good experiences.
yeah, and involving my family too. This other time out by the uncle's farm out in Beamsville, Ontario, near Hamilton,
Yeah.
St. Catharines, out there, the farm.
Yeah.
I was seeing them in the tree line occasionally going by in the summertime, back in the late '80s.
Wow. Yeah.
So one time, we're watching the property for the relatives who were on summer vacation. They had a chicken ranch, chicken farm, their barns with chickens. They grew for Swiss Chalet, the Colonels, Sanders, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So they were on summer vacation. So my parents were taking care of the property, driving down from Scarborough all the way down to Beamsville,
Yeah.
spending the weekend sometimes,
Yeah.
helping out. And one day my mom goes, come, let's go, Tom. Come with me out to the back, to the take me out to the back there by the barns, right? She wanted to see something. She was getting a psychic message or something, right? So I walked her out there, and my little sister was there, and told my mom, said, wait till she goes back, right? Okay. We're out there, and I said, well, okay, Mom, what's up? After my little sister went back in the house, in the farmhouse, I said, okay, what's up? She goes, I don't know, I something's calling me, or something, whatever, right? And she's pointing towards the tree line. right? So I said, okay, I'll look, Mom, right? And we're looking. Next, about a how big was this one? About 6.5, 7 feet tall. Sasquatch comes out of the tree line and is staring right at my mom and I. We're about 300 feet apart. Okay,
Yeah.
about a football field, I guess, to the back tree line from the barn, and we're looking and it's looking at us, right? And boom, my mom goes, "What's that?" I go, "That's a Sasquatch, Mom." She goes, "Sasquatch or Bigfoot?" We called it Bigfoot back then,
Yeah.
and that. Really? She didn't. I guess she didn't want to believe her eyes what she was seeing or something, And that and she got sort of scared and said, "Okay, take me back now. Take me back." And I think she tried to block it out later in life because I asked her or whatever, and that I don't think she recalled it anymore or something, or
Oh,
didn't
okay.
want to put a memory block up or something.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Yeah.
Yes. But really, yeah, I had seen it a few times, and this time it came out for about a minute or two, and was staring right at us. I've had that a couple times, where they come out of the tree line and just stare at you from a distance. So, same thing up at White River, Ontario. I had seen them. I was traveling through there by Greyhound bus, and I had seen them in the tree line as I was standing outside having a smoke, right, over by their infamous minus 70-degree Fahrenheit weather, sign, right? Yeah, have you ever
Yeah.
seen that one? Yeah,
No.
no. Okay, yeah, it's on the if you check it up on on the on the internet there, just White River, Ontario, is a famous A&W sign there for minus 70. It has a thermometer and show coldest place in Ontario, it would say.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll check
Yeah,
it out.
yeah. And this was in the wintertime too, where I had gone through and I was coming back after a couple weeks later, back from I had gone to Vancouver and came back,
Yeah.
and I could see him in the tree line. I yelled out to him, "Hey, I want to see you when I come back." On the
Yeah.
way back, I didn't know when I was coming back, right? But at the end of the month, I said, if I'm coming back, well, it was actually before that. It was only about a week later. I'm coming back. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a short trip. So out west, something happened and I had to come back.
Oh.
So yeah, something happened to my friend. I went to meet there and he left, and so I had to come back. I didn't want. I was in no rush, so I took the bus back, and then yeah, White River, boom. Uh, I'm standing out there having a cigarette, and next it's about minus 10, 20, whatever it was, and it came out, stood out from the tree line, and there, this one was about 6.5. No, so this one was 7 feet tall, about brown shaggy hair, staring at me there from the tree. Stepped out for about 60 seconds from the tree line, staring at me. Right, I
Well,
waved to it a couple times, right, and I said thanks. So interesting. They
wow.
they they honored my request to see them.
Nice to see you. That's
So
really
that was interesting. And I had gone through there a few times over in 2000 and 2001, and every now and then I could see them peeking from the tree line and that. So this time I said I'm going to be brave and I'm going to ask to if I could see you, right? And
yeah.
then they did. They requested us. The one time I did ask if I could see them, and they honored that request. So that was really interesting for me, and that was actually gratifying that happened. So
That's great. Yeah, we should try
thank you,
that.
thank
So,
you. Yeah, thanks.
yeah, we should try that.
Uh,
But over the years, I should have been more. A lot of people say they can communicate with the Sasquatch. They get names and this and that. I've never ever asked for their names or anything like that. I don't know. I've always been a simple kind of communicator. I didn't names weren't important and stuff like that at the time. And that maybe I could have tried, but they always trusted me because I didn't want to know too much stuff. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right. So in that some people have elaborate stories about meeting them and this and that. I wish I had some of those, but I don't. I've had encounters, but I don't know any clan names or
Yeah.
this or even I've gone to a psychic to get my spirit guide, Sasquatch spirit guide names, and that's it. But I've never asked them myself. I was going to try this summer. I'm going to get a digital recorder and start asking more questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I go do certain field researching in the, but like I want to be in the right area. I don't also don't want to get any third party disembodied voices or stuff. So
Interference.
right
Yeah.
from anything near a cemetery or stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that. Right. That's why I don't use one now because I live close by to a couple cemeteries. I've caught paranormal action on camera. I've caught a ghost or two and stuff, but I really don't. I'm not into the disembodied ghost boxes or disembodied voice. I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've touched on that, but that's not really my focus. Someday maybe, but right now it's into this Sasquatch. If it comes up, I guess I'll focus more on that type of normal.
I just want the regular, communication. I don't want anything too weird sometimes, It'd be good. Have you gotten any solid like recordings? Any voices or chatter from the Sasquatch?
No, not chatter, just the Yahoo, the Yoo-hoo.
Yahoo, yeah, right on.
That is on recording. First listen, I didn't hear it, and then I put it on headphones and then heard it. Yeah, but I can't think of anything else we got.
Right.
Vocals, but I guess going forward into this summer, we got a little bit more. Just as it turns out for me, I have a little bit more cash flow, so I can. I'm thinking about getting some recorders, leaving them out in the woods and key areas, and
sure.
And we're also working on trying to get some infrared drones, like thermal drones that'll pick up thermal, and we're going to try and get more than one, and that's a goal for Hastings County Sasquatch and some of our friends.
That's cool. I had a friend of mine researching in Germany who got the voice of a Sasquatch mimicking a UFO taking off. She didn't know. I found it on her video there, and she didn't know that even happened till I had the headphones on. I listened real carefully, and then I zeroed in and found it. And it sounds like an actual hovering, like woo, 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 whatever, that kind of noise,
Yeah.
taking off, like a UFO taking off or something.
Yeah.
Mimicked by a Sasquatch, and no word of lie. One of the most amazing things I ever heard.
Well, that's interesting too. Huh?
Yeah, and that was somewhere in Germany in one of their woods there. So
yeah, there's been a few stories coming out of Germany, some stories along the Rhine, stuff like that.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good.
They're global. They're all over the world, except for I guess Hawaii.
So do you have a routine before you go into the woods to film? Do you say any prayers or do you bring any lucky crystal gems or good luck charms, or you believe any of that kind of? Are you superstitious or anything like that?
No, not really. I've heard about the crystal thing. I haven't done that, but we have taken, say, squash out, or pumpkins and stuff like that.
Right on.
Just like to say hello, and they haven't taken them, but we don't say any prayers before we go out. If anything, we've said we're here, come say hello, or let us know you're here.
That's good. That's what I always do. I say same thing. I introduce myself and ask if I can film. And I usually get positive energy feeling back. So now and then I get a negative one, so I won't film. But as long as I get that positive feeling, then it's fine. And that.
Try that too.
And same thing. Yeah, that's all I do. Yes. And trying to think here. There was when the what color the smell. We're talking about the smell. People have said that when they're using a portal, that's why you get that smell. the skunky type smell or something.
I don't know about that,
But I don't either.
I've never heard that. But
Do you have any rough idea why the smell happens, or?
well, it's not like they have a shower to go to. I mean, if they're just feral type of people out there, then maybe they're just like a bear would smell. It's not like
Right.
a bear or
Sure. Like I said, that one I seen in Alberta there, it was really clean. There was no smell coming off him, and I seen him both day and night, and not once was there any smell associated with them. So right. So maybe that could play a part. Hygiene. You never know.
I've never had the smell. Even back in the woods, the last time I mean, it looked to me like there was something peeking over between a tree, a V of a tree.
Right.
But then again, it was downwind of me. I wouldn't have smelt anyway.
The Madoc site, the only smell I got was it smelled like somebody with very bad BO that hasn't showered for about 3 months during the summertime. That's what it smelled like to me.
Yeah. Right.
Even the landowner that was there standing right with us, she could smell it. I think Daryl had a cold at the time. He couldn't smell anything, but
Yeah, they do.
she said, wow, something smells like ass. That's
Really.
like somebody's stinky ass or sweaty ass or body odor and stuff. So yeah, that's the only thing I got. And the only other place I got that was when I was camping up in, I guess it was Banff, Alberta. It was in the campgrounds out there, and we were getting a weird body odor smell in the air too. So
right.
but couldn't figure out where it was coming from. We thought an animal died somewhere, so we were like walking around in the bushes looking for a dead elk or something, but couldn't find anything.
Interesting. So it's yeah. I always pertain it to myself that like with hygiene, some are clean, some are not.
Could be
Just like humans, some of us are more cleaner than others. So in that, so sweat, body odor, sure. All right. Let's see. Yeah, have you ever had that while out researching, filming? Ever had a moment where you get the goosebumps on your arms or hands? You can see the goosebumps raising up. You ever had a moment like that where you can't? You're like locked in place. You can't even put a foot forward. You ever had that happen to you? Well,
yeah, that happened to me when I was out hunting. I was out going out turkey hunting. I was going up a hill, and it felt like somebody was staring at me. Something was looking at me, or
right.
Anyways, I just loaded up the shotgun right there and put one up the spout, and the thought I gave out, okay, wherever you are, let's go. I'm ready to go. So then slowly the feeling of being watched sort of dissipated. And then I was able to walk forward. It was almost like I hit a brick wall. But that happened to me that one time. And then prior to that happened to me again when I was living up in Hastings. I was sitting on my deck out there. I think I finished mowing the lawn or something like that. And I was having an iced tea or something on the deck. And I could get that feeling something was watching me. This is right out in the woods. And I can basically pick out exactly where something was looking at me. Like there's like a little knoll across the road, little dirt road. Something's staring at me from right there off that hill, up on that hill there behind a tree or something like that. So I can almost pinpoint in like exactly where I was getting that feeling of being watched. It's kind of weird.
That happened to me when prior to the encounter with the one in Alberta there. 2 days before that, we got there was a report like it was a drought, severe drought. So and that cougars and bears were traveling more towards the south of the province. So coming into more built up areas and stuff, and so that was like I had to cross the field to get to the bike path where we were camping, and the grass, it had prairie grass. It was a golden color, and so I was worried that there was a cougar or something. This is before I had the Sasquatch encounter. The 2 days after that, before that there was a cougar hiding in that tall prairie grass. It was a golden color, and I don't know what it was. I was on my bike. I'm waiting for my friend to finish packing up the tent and the gear. I'm standing, and he's going, "Why won't you go forward?" I said, "I can't go forward. I couldn't move my foot forward. I'm straddling my bike. I'm literally, something's like holding my leg back. I couldn't even drag my foot forward to go forward, to even lift it to put it on the pedal. I just couldn't go like more than 1 inch. It was like somebody was literally holding my legs back from going forward, right? And then my friend's going, whatever. I said, I can't move. I said, I can't. He's like, no. I said, I'm not joking. Look, and I can't move. And then I had huge size of dime goosebumps in that. I said, look. He goes, wow. I go, look at your arms. I said, same thing's happening to you. And he didn't even realize. And he was like, what? Holy smokes. Yeah. Both of us had huge goosebumps. And said, you know what? I'm not going against my premonition here that we're in danger. I'm turning around and taking the long way back, Yeah. And we did. Soon as I was able to move slowly at first, but after I got away from that one certain point, moving backwards, I was then able, like, slowly to walk backwards, like with the bike, and then slowly I got freed up and was able to then travel back across the bridge and then down to the highway and down home, an extra half-hour travel time. So instead of going through the scenic route of the bike paths, a 1.5 hour ride took us 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, incredible. Literally, somebody was literally holding me back from moving 1 inch forward. So,
Wow.
so then I had the encounter 2 days later. It's funny, when I seen the Sasquatch, I was sort of relieved that it wasn't a bear or a cougar. So I don't know why I wasn't that scared after. I was more worried about being attacked by a cougar.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Tom.
Yep.
We're gonna have to
call it a day.
We're gonna have to cut this loose. I know Daryl has to bugger up.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem. I really appreciate you guys coming on today and
hey, no problem.
Talking it up.
Great to hear some new stories.
Yeah, I'm working on them, and I've had some health issues I've been trying to get over and stuff, and slowly getting back together. I'll be doing more outside investigations. I'll be posting them up here and there. You'll see more of me soon in that. Hopefully we can meet up sometime here and there in Ontario.
Okay. Maybe this year we'll see if we're going anywhere, or we'll let you know, and if you can tag along.
Yeah, sure. I would appreciate that.
All
right. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. We'll catch up later.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.